Hello all, welcome to Excel training. Today we will we'll start with the functions. Uh, Most important part of Excel is functions. How exactly we use functions and what are the types of functions. If you want to know, you can go to Formulas tab and you have multiple categories here. You have text functions, you have mathematical functions, you have lookup functions, logical functions, financial functions, and so on. There are many functions as far as Excel is concerned, and you can master your formulas and functions in Excel. You'll be able to construct high-level dashboards with ease. Okay, so let's start with mathematical function for today's class. Let's get started. So I'm going to construct a small database here. Just a set of numbers for our demonstration purpose. So let's start with the very first and foremost function, which is sum function. Uh, how to use sum function, what is the syntax? So Excel is very much self-help kind of a thing when you talk about functions. When you start typing your function, it will actually tell you what that function will do. Sum function and the corresponding uh, it'll tell you what exactly it will do, what that particular function will do. If you just mouse over or put your cursor there, it will actually tell you the description of that particular function, what that function will actually do. Okay, so we're dealing with sum function. It says adds the numbers in a range of cells. Okay, so once you give a open parenthesis or once you give a tab here, okay, so it will give you all the parameters which you'll have to specify. Okay, so it says number one, number two, comma number three, and so on. So you just have to pass parameters inside the sum function, and it will take those parameters and performs the sum function. So you can pass numbers like this, 10, 20, 30, etc., and close that. So plain numbers will work, equals to sum. You can pass references. Number refers to references as well, cell references. I pass references like this. Each and every cell refers to one number here, so it takes that and give you the result accordingly. Okay, you can pass ranges. I say sum of this is one range for me, this is one range for me, and so on. Okay, so you can pass multiple ranges also, it works. And here if you observe, I have passed the ranges of same dimensions, correct? So it says E2 to E7, F2 to F7, but it need not be of the same dimensions. It can be of different dimensions as well. So what I mean to say, sum of this is one range for me, comma, this is one range, this is a different dimension, and this is another dimension. So your range you specify can be of different dimensions and it still works perfectly fine. Okay, and finally you can combine numbers, you can combine a cell reference, and you can combine a range. Okay, everything works perfectly fine as far as sum function is concerned. So you can pass numbers, simply numbers the way it is. You can pass references, you can pass ranges of same dimension, you can pass ranges of different dimensions, you can pass a combination of numbers, cell references, and ranges. So everything works pretty much fine with your sum function. Okay, and how to add uh, a range or how to apply some function on top of a particular range. There's a shortcut key we use in Excel, that is alt equals to, right? So if I say alt equals to, I just pressed alt equals to in my keyboard, it is actually taking the sum of the range above in above cells. Okay, and that data should be continuous for that to pick up all the data. If there is a gap in between, it will only take these cells. Okay, so alt equals to enter and just do a control R, just take the sum of everything. Okay, so alt plus equals to is the shortcut key, alt and then equals, shortcut key for applying some function, right? It works horizontally as well as vertically. Now, if I keep my cursor here and press Alt equals to, your sum function works, but this time it takes a sum of all the data towards the left. Okay, there's a common doubt which we just encounter. Let's say I have data here towards the left and towards the top as well, like this. And if I keep my cursor here and press my Alt equals to, whether it will take horizontally or vertically. Okay, it will by default take the column data first. If there is no data above, then it will go to the left. Okay, so by default your Excel will take the data in the column, data available in the column, till the next blank appears. Let's say I have a blank here. Now if I apply Alt equals to, I say Alt equals to, it will just take till, it will just take till the two data, whichever is available, that two data it will take. Alt equals, yes, it's only taking till the blank cell, right? So that's about sum function. Okay, so next comes count function. So let's see how count function, what is the count function for. This is sum function. Let's talk about count function. I'll just take it a bit up. Okay, now if I say equals to count of, and you see the description of count function, it says counts the number of cells in a range that contains numbers. That means it will only count the numerical data present in a particular range. Okay, only the numerical data. It will not consider text data, neither it will consider blank. It will only consider the numerical data present in a range. Now if I say count of this range, how many numbers present in that particular range, only it will count. Okay, so it says there are 6 occurrences of numbers present in that particular range is what it says. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now let's say if I enter some text here and press enter, it says 5 because it will not consider the text. If you have a blank here, even that will not be considered. Only it will consider the numerical data present in that particular list. That's what your count function says. Okay, so if I just drag this towards my right, Control R, it says 6 and 6 because there are 6 numerical data present in this range and this range as well. Okay, so that's your count function. Now let's say now I wanted to count the numerical data as well as my text data. Okay, I want both to be counted. Then I have another function called count A. A stands for all. It will count all except blanks. It will not consider blanks, but apart from that, everything. It means numerical data as well as text data. Both it will consider. It will give you a 5 instead of 4. Now I just drag it down, Control R. Now if I give some text here, it will still say 6. It will not become 4 because it will consider your text data. Correct? So that's what your count function will do. So count, I just type here, count will count the numerical data in a range. In a range. Okay. Count A will count both text as well as numbers in a range. Right? Now, let's say I have a range like this. Now I wanted to count how many occurrences of text present in a particular range. Okay, so we have a function to count the numerical data and we have a function to count the text as well as numerical data. Now I want to count only the text data present in a range. Then we don't have a specific function, but you can write a logic in such a way that you can say count A minus count. Okay, count A is text plus numbers. Count A is numbers. So you can say count A minus count to just take the text data. Now I'll just take this range separately. Control C. Now I wanted the number of occurrences of text data present in this. So I'll say count A of this range. That will give you both text plus numbers minus, I'll say count. Okay, that will just give me the numbers numerical data. Okay, that means two occurrences of text data present in this particular range is what it says, right? So count A and sum we have seen. Those three functions are very useful. Okay, so let's see the very important functions sumif and countifs. Okay, so sum, when you say sum function, what it is actually doing, it is actually taking the sum of the entire data. But sometimes it might require that uh, you need to take the sum of the data based on a particular criteria. Then we go for sum if. Okay, that is sum based on a criteria. Okay, so let's see an example and syntax of how SumX works. So I go to this data. This in sheet 2, I have a data like this. Some date column is there, region, sales representatives, customer, product, and sales. So in a particular region, this representative has performed sales for a customer and total sales performed is this much. So this is kind of a logical data we have in this sheet. Now let's say I want to take the total sales, right? So total sales can be achieved just by writing a sum function, right? So I can simply say equals to sum of this. That will give you the total sales in that particular table. But now let's say I have to take the sales based on a particular criteria called region. Okay, in a region called, let's say, west region, I want to take the total sales, right? So whenever you come across a scenario where you have to take the total of a particular column based on a particular criteria, then we go for sumif. Okay, sum based on a criteria. Sumif and sum ifs, there are two functions. As you can guess, sumif is for a single criteria, and sumif works for, of course, both. It will work for single as well as multiple criteria, right? So that's sumif and sumif for you. Now let's say region, on a particular region called west region, I will show you how to use sumif and sumifs to get the total sales. I say equals to sum if. Okay, so you can see the description there, adds the cell specified by a given condition or a criteria. Okay, so I say sum if. Okay, you just have to follow the parameters which is available here. Okay, it says range, criteria, and sum range. Okay, range refers to the range where your criteria exists. Okay, now my range exists, my criteria is region. Okay, so that particular range I'll have to take. Okay, so I go here, select B2 and control shift down to select the entire range. Okay, and then what is the criteria? I say comma, my criteria is west, so I select west, comma. Now the total sum range refers to the numerical data on which you are performing the operation on. Okay, so sales is the column on which I'm going to perform the operation on. So I select sales, that column, close parentheses, enter. Okay, so that will give you the total sales performed in west region. Okay, so this is a very simple syntax as far as sumif is concerned. First is your range means where is your criteria, that particular range you will have to select. So that is, my criteria is in the B column, so I've selected entire B column from B2 to B38. Okay, and the criteria is west, of course, and the sum range is your sales column, so I've selected sales column accordingly. Okay, so this particular sum function works only for one criteria. Okay, now let's say I have two criteria. I work with two criteria, region and custom. Okay, now here I have two columns, region and customer. Let's take Southeast and Amazon. Okay, so in Southeast region, for a customer called Amazon, how much sales have been performed is what I'm going to check. Okay, so I can say some IFS. You can't say sum if because it works only for one criteria. You have to use some IFS, that is for multiple criterias. I say open bracket. But if you follow the syntax here, it says sum range first. Okay, previously when you are using sum if, the sum range comes at the last parameter, but now sum range comes as the first parameter. So my sum range refers to the sales column. So I select the sales column to start with, comma. Okay, next parameter will be your criteria range 1. Okay, my first criteria is region. Okay, my first criteria is region here. So my criteria range 1 will be region column, that is this. I select from B2 to B38, comma, and I'll have to specify the criteria with which I'm working, that is my southeast. Okay, that's my first criteria range. And now comes to the second criteria range. My second criteria is Amazon, that is customer. That range, wherever it is existing in the table, we'll have to select that range, okay, as our criteria range. Okay, so this is my customer range. So I select from B2 to B30, sorry, B2 to B38. That's my customer column, comma. I'll have to now specify the criteria. My criteria will be Amazon. So I select Amazon here. I'm done with the formula, close parenthesis, enter. So 8284 is the total sales performed in Southeast region for a customer called Amazon. Okay, how to cross check this? You can come back always and apply a filter on top of it. Okay, I come back and select my region as Southeast, enter, go back to the customer called Amazon. So I just select Amazon as my customer, enter. There are two records. If you just take the sum and see down, it says 8284. It's perfectly matching. So your formula is working perfectly. So whatever you're doing here, filter criteria, same thing your SUMIF will do. It will take region, whatever you specify, and customer, whatever you specify, and it will take the result and sum everything based on that criteria. So I'm done with it. So I remove the filter, and this is your sums function. Okay, you're taking the sum based on some criterias given. Okay, very useful function in Excel. Whenever you go create a dashboard, some or the other way you come across sum functions, so very important to note down. Right now, here, if you observe while constructing this SUMIF function, we had faced an issue, that is, every time you'll have to go to the database and select these ranges again and again. When you select the range, your cursor will go down and you'll have to come back to your formula again. It's little distraction, correct? So to avoid this, what we can do is, we saw a concept called named ranges in the very beginning classes. So we can name these ranges before and use those names in your formula, such that you need not navigate between table and formula. Okay, in this case we are constructing the formula in the same sheet as your database, so we didn't face much issue. But if you have, let's say, 20 sheets in your database, in your workbook, and you're constructing your dashboard in the 20th sheet, and your data is in second sheet, let's say. So to navigate between 20th sheet and second sheet, it's always a very tedious process, right? So instead of that, what you can do, you can always name your ranges. So I can come here, select the range, that is region. I come here in the name box, select here and say region. Okay, so going forward, this name of this range will be region. Same way we have to use customer column. So I just type CUST. You can give any name as such. So I say CUST for customer, and this is my total sales. So I say T sales for total sales. So I've named these ranges accordingly. Now I can come back and construct my formula with ease. Okay, so I say equals to sum ifs of, what's my sum range? I named it as T sales. So I select T sales, comma, what's my criteria range 1? Wherever my region column is there, I named it as region. So I select region here, comma, what's my criteria here? Southeast. Now, what's my second criteria range? That is customer column. I named it as CUST. So I select CUST. I type CUST, it automatically displays. You observe here, I just start typing CUST. It displays there in the list. Just give a tab and comma. What's my second criteria? Amazon. So I select that, close it and enter. Now, if you see the difference between previously constructed formula and now, you see a lot of difference, right? So you need not go select your ranges every time and come back to your formula. uh, that navigating between your table and formula will be much easier when you use named ranges. Okay, so it's always a good practice that you name your table and name your columns which you use frequently in your formula, and then use it accordingly, right? So that's all about some ifs, right? Yes. Now we have seen some ifs for multiple columns, that is region and customer. What if I have to calculate, let's say customer, I have to calculate the total sales performed in Amazon as well as OD. For these two customers, I have to take the total sales, let's say. Okay. Now let's see how to construct that. Equals to sum f's of my sum range is total sales, that is T sales, comma, criteria range. We are dealing with only one criteria. So that is customer column, let's say CUST. Now I have multiple criterias within the same column. Okay, within the same column, if you have multiple criterias, we have to convert this formula into an array formula. Okay, so for that, we can open flower bracket, and inside that flower bracket, I'll have to specify the criteria which are looking for. So Amazon is my first criteria, and OD is my second criteria. That's that are two criteria. I converted it into an array function. Close your flower bracket, close your normal bracket, and press enter. When you press enter, it is actually taking the Amazon sales as well as OD sales. But how to cross check? You just come here, select this function, and say calculate now. Calculate now. If you see here, this is giving an array of two different values, one for Amazon, one for OD. Okay, so you're getting two different values, but those two different values are not displaying. Only the first item present in the array, that is 21187, is getting displayed in the result. Okay, but what I want is the total sales performed by those two customers, right? So for that, what I should do, I should do a control Z, undo I've done, such that your formula is back, and I can say sum of these. Okay, now whatever this sum if is returning, those two values, your sum function will sum it, and your final result will be displayed. So this is the correct output when you use sum ifs. Okay, so when you use sum ifs for a same column, multiple criteria, this is how we do. Okay, so this is under same one column, one input, one column, other input. So that case you can use this way. But under one column, if you have multiple criteria to check, then this is the way to construct your form. Yes. Okay, now under sum ifs we have something called wild characters also. Okay, so wild characters we call it as. Okay, so you have question mark and star. These are called wild characters. Question mark stands for one, only one. Okay, and star stands for one or more. Okay, now let's say if I say a question mark, okay, then it means a followed by one character. That means AA, AB, AC, AD, and so on. A followed by one character. Okay, now if you say a star, then it means a followed by any number of characters. That means Amazon will come under that. Okay, so Ariel will come under that. So after a, it can be any number of characters. Ahmedabad, Assam. So all these, any number of characters after a can be considered when you say star. So when you say star, it means a and then any. When you say question mark, it is a and then only one. Okay, so you can use these inside your sum ifs. So I can say sum ifs. Okay, and you can say T sales and customer, CUST customer. Now let's say I want to give a criteria. Let's say I want all the customers whose name starts with A. So I can say A star. Okay, A star refers to all the customers whose name starts with A. Okay, or let's say if I give a question mark and D. Okay, that refers to all the customers whose name ends with D, but only two characters, right? It refers to OD and HT. We have OD and HT here. So two characters, first character can be anything, but it should end with D. Okay, so you can use such kind of criteria. Now if I press enter on this, it will actually take all the uh, sum of the sales performed by HDOD, and let's see if there is any other customers here. No, it's only two characters, and ending with D we have only HD and O. So it will take that sum of all those uh, customers, right? So that's called wild characters. Okay, you can use wild characters as well inside your SUMIF function. Okay, so that's a detailed explanation of your SUMIFs function. As far as the Excel is concerned, your SUMIFs is very useful when you construct dashboards and all, any reports you construct. SUMIFs will be very useful. Okay, so let's move into the next function, that is count if. Okay, count if and count ifs. Same as your SUMIF and SUMIFs, COUNTIF also works the same way, but as its name suggests, it will only count the number of items present in that particular array. Okay, now let's say equals to count if, okay, range comma criteria. Okay, let's say I take region as west. Now I want to see how many times west is getting repeated in a column called region, that I want to count. So I can say equals to count if of range is my region range. So I type region, comma, criteria is your west. So enter. It says west is repeating 5 times in that particular range. Now you can say northeast, let's say northeast is repeating 12 times. So that's what your count if says. Now I want to count for multiple criterias. I say region northeast, and let's say my customer column. Customer, I take it as McClendon, right? So I just copy it from here. Control C, Control V. Okay, so for this region, this combination of region and customer, how many times it is getting repeated, that's what we have to check. So I say equals to count if, that is for multiple criterias. Okay, equals to count if. Okay, so first you have to specify criteria range 1, that is your region. So I take region as my region column, and this is my criteria, comma, criteria range 2 is your customer column. So I say cust, comma, this is my region. So it will display you how many times this combination is getting repeated. Northeast is, and this McClendon is repeating 2 times. So this is where it is getting repeated 2 times. And let's see where else it is. You don't find anywhere it. Okay, so that is 2 times. So that's what count if is. So it will count the combination, this particular combination, how many times it is getting repeated. Like this, you can count for any number of columns, and that combination, how many times it is repeating, it will display you accordingly. Okay, so your region, same way, region is northeast. If you're looking for northeast, how many times it is getting repeated in the region column, it will display 12 times. Okay, so that is all about COUNTIF and COUNTIFs. SUMIFs, COUNTIF, COUNTIFs. Okay, let's come back to sheet 1. Now we have these functions. Let's see max, min, large, and small. Okay, so let's take a small range to work with. So I take ran between. Ran between is a function which will generate some random numbers between a range you specify. Okay, here I can specify a lower limit and upper limit. Based on that, it will display the any random numbers between that range. I'll have to do a page special value to just erase formula and keep the values. Okay, so here in this case 99 is the biggest value, 23 is the lowest value. Let's work it out. Okay, we have two functions, max and min. Max of course will give you the maximum number, min will give you the minimum number in that particular list. Okay, now apart from max and min, we have two more functions called small and large. Okay, so what is small function doing? Equals to small of, this is the, it says array comma k. Okay, array is that, and k refers to the index. Okay, let's say I want first largest number, second largest number, third largest number. So you want the index of it. Okay, so k refers to that index. If I give a 2 here, it will take the second largest number in that particular range. Take second smallest number. Okay, it says 32 is the second smallest. Same way, I can give a large of, this is the range, comma, okay, let's say second largest number. Okay, second largest number is 76 in that range. So that's how you can take first largest number and second smallest, second largest, third largest, whatever it is. That K refers to the index of which largest or smallest you are looking for. Okay, now in this case we have one more interesting thing. Let's say I want first, second, third largest numbers to be displayed. Okay, so I can write equals to small of, this is the range. Okay, now I have to take first three largest numbers. Okay, and let's say count of first three largest numbers. Okay, sum of first three largest numbers I want to take. Okay, now I can say, okay, first three largest numbers. So I can say large function, large of, this is the range. Okay. Now I want first three largest numbers. So I have to convert your normal function into an array function. Again, to convert, you have to use a flower bracket. I can say 1, comma 2, comma 3. That takes the three largest numbers to be displayed. Okay, if I enter now, it will only display first largest number. But if I can go here and say calculate now, it is actually giving you the first three largest numbers. What I should do, I'll just have to apply a sum function on top of it just to take the sum of first three largest numbers. Okay, so then that's one good option. If at all you have to extract multiple values in one single cell, one single formula, then you'll have to construct your normal function into an array function, then display it accordingly. Okay, but Excel cell cannot display multiple values in one single cell. It can only display one cell. But if you go and calculate, you'll be able to see there will be an array. There will be an array with multiple values existing in that particular data set. So you can just apply some function or count function, whatever is applicable, average, whatever function is applicable, you can apply that, and just press enter such that your result will be displayed. Okay, so that's about some function. That's about some of the mathematical functions we regularly use. Okay, so we've seen some count a, some if, count ifs, max, min, some small, large. Okay, so next class we'll see text functions. See you next class.